Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Roam with Romy. Today's video is going to be kind of a little doozy. So I'm going to be talking about a serious matter that I found happen quite a lot in Korea, especially with expats that come here and they don't really know about these things. Before I start, disclaimer, I am not a lawyer, I am not a legal counsel, I am not an attorney at law. My inspiration for doing this video is to warn and kind of give you guys advice on how to legally protect yourself. I want you all who either plan on coming to Korea or will come to Korea in the near or distant future to know what to expect if it happens to you. I'm not doing this video to kind of fearmonger anyone or make anyone think that, oh my God, this is gonna happen to me. It might not happen to you. It didn't happen to me, but it has happened to others. And that's one thing about living abroad, is that while you're in your home country, you know your legal protections. However, when you're abroad, the last thing a lot of people think about is how to be legally protected in a new country. I think it's human nature to kind of hope that everything goes according to plan, but sometimes it just doesn't. And what do you do in those situations when things occur that are out of your control, especially things that can legally harm you? So my intention of doing this video is just to help you all out in case some of these situations happen to you, that you can take precautions to protect yourself while you're abroad. You don't need to be a lawyer to know the laws, and you don't need to be an attorney or some type of legal representative in order for you to learn how to advocate and protect yourself. So I'm definitely one of those people who thinks that it is very good to protect yourself in any circumstance, no matter what. And I definitely want you all to have that same mindset. So the first thing is that these rules or legal protections apply to everyone across the board. The first legal mistake that a lot of foreigners make, especially teachers, okay, y'all teachers out there, I know, you know, Korea is so exciting and you just trying to be here, but please, when I tell you, read your employment contract. And also make sure that your contract or whatever your school makes you sign is in English. And I'm going to tell you why. I have heard so many horror stories of teachers who have been fired. I have heard of teachers that haven't been paid because of the contract stipulations. I have heard of teachers who have had just a hard time legally protecting themselves because guess what? Their signature was on the contract and they signed something even when it's in Korean. I know some people have the personality of being non-confrontational, but when it comes to legal things, you definitely want to make sure that the law is on your side and that you have every single type of evidence that you can in order to protect yourself. Because here, I'm gonna tell y'all straight up, this country, and that's for any country, but my experience in Korea has been that people will always try to get one up on you. And the reason for that is because you don't know anything. You're a foreigner, you just came into the country, and that's natural. That's in any country. Whenever you're a new person, people are always going to go as far as they think they can because they know that you don't know. And some people won't, but always act like everyone's guilty of that. I'm just letting you guys know the truth, because there is always that one school that will try to pull the wool over your eyes. So you definitely don't want to put yourself in a situation where you sign something and it was in another language, and then for them to be like, well, you signed the contract, so why are you complaining? And you're like, what do you mean I signed the contract? Well, it was in Korean. How am I supposed to know what it means? I know some people are gonna be like, why would anyone sign a contract in Korean? Well, you'd be surprised how many people sign contracts in Korean and don't even know what's going on. And the next thing you know, their school fires them, shuts them out, and then they're at a loss and they have to scramble and kind of put themselves in another situation where it would have been prevented if they had just read the contract in their language. So what I would suggest is definitely, if you are signing a contract, whatever language you speak, make sure that at least it's in a language either that is commonly spoken, such as English, or you have a translator or interpreter that can be there and that can translate the document for you, and then you can sign it. Because if not, you're gonna put yourself in such a bad legal position, and then the school or the job or whoever you're contractually obligating yourself with is going to have a field day with your signature. The second legal mistake that a lot of foreigners make in Korea is getting some illegal coins for teaching English. Now, I know money be tight. Sometimes the money looks good when someone approaches you and is like, hey, can you teach me English? And I'll pay you $25 an hour, or I'll pay you $100 an hour, or whatever amount they tell you. Don't take the bait. You're risking your immigration status whenever you take that kind of risk. Now, it's easy to get tempted to make extra cash, and trust me, you can make some good money teaching people or tutoring people on the side or editing papers or doing whatever. However, rule of thumb is that you shouldn't do it. And the reason for that is that if you get caught, then it can affect your immigration status and your visa renewal. So I would say that even if it's for free, it is still not recommended that you do it, because it can always be misinterpreted as you giving services for a fee. What I would recommend is that you just don't do it. If you are caught illegally tutoring in Korea, you can face a maximum of a 1-year jail term, or you can pay a fine of between 1 million to 5 million Korean won, which roughly translates to 1,000 to 5,000 USD approximately. So it's not something that you should risk. And if you get banned from Korea for 1 year, even though Korean immigration might say that it's a 1-year ban, it is up to their discretion to let you re-enter the country. So you might not be able to come back to work again. Maybe you can come as a tourist, but anything beyond that, it will always stay on your record. That is why I don't advise anyone to tutor or to do free lessons. If it's a language exchange, that's different. That's within a group context, and we know that language exchanges are conversational. But what I'm trying to say is you privately going to someone's house and tutor them in English or any other language is a big no-no. So I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret. The Korean government gives their citizens reward money to report illegal activities that foreigners do. And that's including tutoring or any type of service that is not under their visa or that is not stipulated under their visa. So I'm just letting y'all know it ain't worth it. Definitely stay away from that, especially if you're on the E2, E7, D2, D4 visas. Just stay away from it. Third legal mistake is more for teachers. If you are coming to teach in Korea under an E2 visa and you're teaching at an international school, run. Do not sign that contract, because to teach at an international school, teachers must have a teaching license from their home country. So if you are on an E2 visa, it is impossible for you to teach at an international school. And there are a lot of schools in Korea that disguise themselves as international schools, but they really aren't. They're just a glorified hagwon. However, they will lure parents to send their kids there because they want to call it an international school. And if they are teaching subjects other than English, so they're teaching math, science, or whatever else, or another curriculum that is not solely English language instruction, then you are working illegally and you can get deported. An example of teachers who got duped into working at an international school on an E2 visa occurred in 2017, when certain international schools that were teaching under the curriculum of the Canadian British Columbia International School System, which were just practically hagwons, they hired teachers to teach there on an E2 visa, and 14 teachers got deported. And it caused such a big controversy in Seoul because a lot of teachers didn't know that they were illegally teaching. And they were like, well, if it was illegal, why did immigration let my visa go through? Well, they don't care about that, okay? Even if it's their mistake, they're still gonna be like, well, you did it and it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, it's their country and it's their laws. So if you find yourself in a situation where you are teaching anything other than the English language, then you definitely need to be concerned and seek out your legal options to leave that job, because you're not supposed to be teaching there. The fifth legal mistake that a lot of expats make when they come to Korea is not knowing the defamation laws. Korea has some of the most strictest defamation laws in the world. In most countries, defamation is a civil matter. So if someone is saying something bad about you or slanders your name, you can just sue them. They will legally prove whether you were innocent or not. However, in Korea, defamation is not only a civil matter, it is also a criminal matter. So you can be put in jail for defaming someone. Now, usually it doesn't get to that extreme. However, if you defame someone or an establishment, even if you're telling the truth, you can get sued if you caused harm to their business, to their character, to their family, to their money, whatever it is, you can get sued for that, even if you were telling the truth. There are so many examples of this happening, and it can get really ugly if you don't know that defamation is a criminal and civil offense. An example of this was with SK Group child. In 2015, SK Group's chairman, Choi Tae-won, announced to Korea and the world that he was having an affair, child, and his mistress was having a baby. And they spent 10 years embroiled in this passionate love affair. The man was married, his wife got mad, and she didn't want to divorce him. When I tell y'all his wife, No So-young, ain't playing them games, sis has been resisting divorce since 2015, like a real life K-drama in Korea, y'all. This woman is not willing to divorce her husband until she gets her fair share. And rightfully so. She's trying to get her money up. She's trying to get her bags up. So this divorce has been happening for a long time. Now, the issue is that the mistress was catching a lot of heat from the public, and rightfully so. But the mistress found some slanderous comments that were being made about her on the internet, and she was able to sue the person who made the slanderous comment for defamation of character. So this person that the mistress sued ended up getting 8 months of jail time with a 2-year suspension on her sentence and 160 hours of community service. So I dug deeper into the story and found out that there were actually more people that were implicated in being haters of the SK chairman's living girlfriend, or slash side chick slash mistress, whatever you want to call her. And they were fined 173 million won collectively, which comes up to roughly 144,000 US dollars for saying negative or nasty things about his mistress. So defamation laws here are no joke, and this lady went to jail just off of a rumor. So usually when we go on celebrity gossip blogs and or anywhere and we just say, oh, I heard this person did this, oh, I heard she or he did that, we don't get charged for that. But in Korea, you can't do that. So do not talk about your boss, do not talk about your students, do not talk about businesses in a defamatory way, because it may cause you to get subpoenaed. I know some of us get triggered. We get them trigger fingers. We like, what this person talking about? This person talking about me? I'm about to let this person have it. Well, you gotta be careful in Korea, because you let that person have it and that person's gonna be like, oh, screenshots. Now you got a defamation lawsuit on your hands, and you don't want to go there. Especially not in this country, because they will take you down. Especially if you are an expat from another country. Oh, they're gonna be like, oh, this is a good payday, and they will keep it going. So you don't want that to happen. I've added this last legal mistake to kind of give you a warning, especially for my women out there who are planning to date and be in a relationship with a man either from Korea or not from Korea. I know that Korea is adventurous and there's so many fine men out here. Trust me, I know. However, please be careful when you are in Korea, especially with men here. Now, I'm not saying that only Korean men do this. We know that everyone around the world will take advantage of a woman in any way that they can if they are not a good person or if they are just a nefarious person. This society is still very patriarchal. Korean women still face a lot of challenges when it comes to going against cultural attitudes and norms that have been ingrained in Korean society for generations. This is not just a foreign women problem. However, I am talking to foreign women because we are also subjected to this, and some of us don't know what the consent laws are here. So it is in your best interest as a woman, please, the first thing is, do not ever go to a man's house unless you know without a doubt that he is not going to do something to you. They see it here. If you go into a man's house, then you are consenting to whatever happened or a willing participant to whatever happened. So it will be hard for you to prove that this man raped you. This could put you in a really dangerous position. So that is just one example of how consent can work in Korea. It's so blurred here. The lines are so blurred, and it can usually go in the man's favor. And that's for Korean or foreign men. Except foreign men, I say, have a little bit more stricter punishments. Most likely they can face jail time, get deported. But in Korea, it's, yeah. Jail time for rapists is very low sometimes. Some sexual assault victims, they have had men that have raped them, and the men only got like 2 years jail time or less than 2 years or a fine. So there's definitely a blurred line of consent here, so be careful. Another example of this is one girl, she met a guy on a popular app in Korea called Meet, and they had planned to meet each other and to, you know, to engage and partake in some activities. They went out together, they had a lot of drinks, and then they went back to the hotel. But when they were at the hotel, his friends came over and they raped her. So she did not consent to that. So this is why you have to be very extremely careful when you're here, especially as a woman who is an expat or a foreigner in Korea, because men are predators no matter where. Okay, let's get that straight. So that's anywhere in the world. So the things you need to do to protect yourself is definitely know the consent laws in whatever country you're staying in. And unfortunately in Korea, the chances of you being more protected than a Korean male is very, very extremely low. So it is in your best interest to please get to know these guys before you engage in any activities with them. This concludes my video on the 5 legal mistakes that expats or foreigners make in Korea. I hope that this helps some of you understand the legal ramifications of what can occur in Korea when you don't know the laws or what legal protections that you have. I pray that your experience is seamless and that you never have any legal problems. On that note, take care of yourselves as always, and until next time, bye!